Hey guys, I'm Chuck.
And I'm Allie.
And we're AlliChuck Adventures. This week, we are going to take a little bit of a look back on our spring break trip. It was our first long distance trip with Aquila, and a couple kind of mistakes, you might say, that we made. And they could have been kind of costly and expensive, and they were definitely, a couple of them were stressful.
Right.
So we hope that, in sharing some of our mistakes with you guys, that it helps you not make the same mistakes that we've made. If you're new to our channel, we would appreciate if you'd just take a quick moment, hit that red subscribe button down below the video.
And ring that bell notification so you can follow us on our journey. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like this video or if you find it helpful.
So one of the first mistakes we made, and this goes to with when we're traveling usually long distance and we have to stop for a bathroom break, we prefer going in our own RV to go to the bathroom than going in public bathrooms. I think probably a lot of people who RV do the same thing.
Right.
So this time, because this RV has the valves that you have to switch between dry camping and tank fill and city water, which I love that. That's one of the things I wanted in our next RV. My problem was before we were leaving, I had it on city fill, and I had the hose hooked up to it, and I was filling up our fresh tank. Well, I forgot to switch it back to dry camp for the trip. So when we made our first stop to have a bathroom break, I come in and I turned the water pump on and went to the bathroom, and the toilet seemed to flush. I mean, water was coming out, so I didn't think anything. I didn't ring any bells at that point that I'd done something wrong. When we stopped for our second break, Allie comes back in the truck and she says, "There's no water."
There's no water going into the toilet.
And I said, "That's weird." I said, "I turned the water pump on, still not ringing a bell that I hadn't switched the valve to dry camp." And a little ways down the road, all of a sudden it dawned on me what I had done, and she was like, "Should we pull over and check it?" And I was like, "Well, no." I said, "We'll just wait till we get there," and we did. So when we got to her mom's, which was our first stop for overnight, I'm getting the leveling chocks out to level the RV, and I hear the pump whining, and it's not a good sound.
No.
And
we thought we burned up the motor.
I definitely thought I burned up our pump.
Yeah.
And so I quickly switched it to dry camp. There's an outside shutoff here for as I'm showing you now, there's an outside shutoff here for the water pump, which I immediately did. And like I said, switched it to dry camp, turned the pump back on, and it was terribly noisy, And I was like, well, so we just ruined the pump, and that's on me, that's my fault. I ended up letting it sit for a little while, and once I bled the air out of the I guess there was air in the lines from this, it started working fine again, and it's been working great ever since. Might be a little noisier than it was before, but maybe it was noisy up front too. I just didn't notice it because we don't notice the noise of this pump inside the RV. It's very quiet.
We don't notice it at all in the living room. You can hear it a little bit in the bedroom, but not so much in the living room or the kitchen. So
that was my first serious kind of faux pas mistake with Aquila. Make sure that we switch it to dry camp when we're traveling. When
we picked up the RV, the gentleman that was walking us around told us a really important fact to make sure that you are unhooked and everything is set up the way you want it before you open up the side door and lower the
these more ride steps.
Yeah, because what'll end up happening is the door can slam back into the stairs, and it can end up damaging the door.
Not only that, but it also, if you're not leveled yet and you have the steps down and the stairs are, because these stairs contact the ground. So if you put the stairs down and shut the door, and you're raising or lowering the trailer, it can put those steps in such a bind that will damage the door.
Right. So
that's one of the first things that we make sure, and we didn't have that issue with Aquila. What we're doing now is we just leave Nikki in the truck. Allie gets out; she helps me do all the leveling, and
once we get everything
set up, and that door is ready to be opened, and the stairs are ready to be dropped, then we get Nikki out, and then I go around and do the slides. which that brings us to our next issue that we had.
Oh,
it was
boy.
almost a catastrophe of an issue.
Oh my gosh.
The slides. So we had this happen in our previous RV where we had Nikki's dog. She had a dog water bowl, and we would take the top part off, but we would leave the bottom part. It was like a one of those jugs you put on the top.
Yeah, that trickles out little by little.
Yeah, and we left that on the floor, and in transit it had bounced around and got kind of hidden where Allie didn't see it, and she started running the slide out. That dog bowl had gotten kind of wedged underneath the slide.
It was the worst crunching sound you've ever heard. I'm like, no, what did I do?
She started screaming, yeah. I thought we broke the slide somehow, but it just obviously broke the dog bowl.
Yeah.
And so that was something that actually almost happened on this trip. Mm-hmm. So the couch is right over here to our right, your left. And we had some stuff sitting on the couch. Now, typically, we've been putting the rugs, the area rugs that we lay down.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I made a mistake of putting our camera bag in with our camera gear.
All the little pieces inside.
And so when we got to the campsite on Sunday, I'm outside. I'm using the remote control app, the app on my phone to make sure that the slides are not going to hit anything outside. And I'm running the slide out. I run the kitchen slide out. That's fine. I start running the dining room slide out, and all of a sudden I hear Allie, "No, stop!" And I'm like,
Because what happened was we had hit a bump or something, and it had totally brought the whole bag up in the air, and some of the pieces had fallen on the ground right by the slide. So when we were opening it, I could see the leg of our mini stand, our camera stand, wedged underneath the slide out. And if he would have gone any further, it would have damaged it.
Oh, she was mad. She was mad at me.
Oh,
you want to talk about being hangry and Helen? And she was a little bit more mad at me on this, I think.
Like, babe.
She's like, you just ruined the slide. You broke the slide face.
I was almost in tears. Like, luckily, I walked away.
It wasn't even wedged under there.
It wasn't. I didn't even want to touch it. I was so upset and so scared.
I stopped it in plenty of time.
And thank God.
Yeah, it was just pulled. It was starting to get wedged, but it hadn't gotten wedged yet. If she hadn't been seeing what was going on, if she had been in the kitchen doing something else. Yeah, it would have crunched this stand that we're using. And
probably damaged the slide.
Probably.
At least boogered it up or something. But I told him, I said, never again are we ever putting anything on that sofa that could possibly, bounce and fall, onto the ground.
So this is the lesson to be learned here. If you have an RV with slides, maybe you already do this. Maybe we're the dumb ones. Maybe we're the only dumb ones who don't. But always check to make sure nothing has bounced on the floor or anything,
any little piddly
gotten out of
thing,
place, that might get under the slide when you're putting it out.
Yep.
So we avoided a catastrophe with that. Now, one of the biggest things that happened on this trip, I would say for me, which left me shaking literally after we got done, we pulled into a gas station. Now, Aquila is 36 feet roughly long. We had our previous trailer was 27. Doesn't sound like a whole lot of difference, but it is. And so we pulled into a gas station, and this is well, I'm kind of jumping around here. I'm gonna say we pulled in, we took the outside pump, like easy to get in, pretty much a straight shot. Now when we pulled in, there was and I wish we'd have videotaped this, but I don't think to videotape things like this in the heat of the moment when I'm freaking out. Because I'm just stressed out, and the last thing I want to do is grab a camera and really should start documenting some of this stuff, but I just don't think of it. But when we pulled in, there was an Airstream. So the gas pumps are like this. Like, we pulled in, the gas station's up here. We pull in to the outside pump. There's an Airstream sitting up here, and he left while we were pumping gas. So I'm just assuming that I'm going to pull around, and there's an exit out the other side. There was not an exit out the other side.
No.
You had to go through the lanes of the gas pump.
Yeah.
Now, luckily for us, when I got to the outside edge and I seen that there was no escape out that side, there was a couple gentlemen with their truck, and they had a trailer like a not an RV, maintenance trailer, like a maintenance trailer. And he was like, "Oh," and I had Allie jump out, and I was like, "You gotta look at my front end and make sure I get as close to that guy as I can to try to squeeze through here."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, I can pull forward, if you need." And thank goodness he did that.
Nice.
I would have not made it.
Yeah.
He pulled up and got enough out of the way that I was able to swing where he was, and still, my trailer coming around only missed the gas pumps by inches.
Yeah.
Literally, after we got out of there, I had to pull to another gas station where there was a big open area, and I had to park, and I just had to calm down because Allie was like, "You're gonna have to back out." I'm like, "I can't back out with all these cars in here and stuff. I mean, there's just no way."
It was scary. It was very stressful.
And that happened not once. That happened on the way up, but it also somewhat happened again on the way home. My mistake was
You let the gas get too low.
I let the gas get too low, and then you're stuck having to...
Whatever gas station is close by, you're stuck with that one.
Yeah.
So we made a decision that from now on, when the gas gets to a quarter of a tank, we start looking for a Pilot or a
Loves or a Flying J, something that's big.
that's more suitable for our size of rig.
Not only that, but before we leave, we're going to gas up. Now,
Yeah.
but that's, before we hook up to the RV to leave.
We
in other
never
words.
really had to worry about this so much with Patchouli, our
Never had an
previous
issue.
RV.
Never had an issue with it. We pulled into this second gas station on the way home because, like Allie said, I let it get down to like 30 miles to empty. Because we were trying to push.
Procrastinator.
Well, we were trying to push it to I think it was a Pilot or a Love's.
Yeah,
and,
we were trying to get there.
And I was like, at the last minute, I was like, no, I'm taking this exit, and whatever gas station we find, we find. They had a Wawa at that gas station, but it was like a few tenths of a mile further down the road. So I decided to take this one as we're pulling on this road. I said, it looks pretty big. I can get in there.
Yeah.
So we pull in there, and long story short, I took the outside pump again, but I had to have Allie get out and guide me back because I had to back up and swing wider to get around those pumps again. This one wasn't as stressful as the first one. This one was just more of I didn't want to back up and potentially hit somebody that was parked in front of the store.
Yeah, in front of the store. There were two cars there, and luckily the lady was coming out just when you were backing up, so it was fine. But
yeah, because my fear was somebody might even back out and hit the back of the trailer, because the way we were parked in there.
So lesson learned: never let it get below a quarter of a tank, and start looking for a suitable gas station for your rig.
And I always push the gas till the last minute. And
you do. I mean,
I hate getting gas.
I'm the same way, but
and it's not even the money issue. I don't like the money issue of it either, but it's just I hate
getting out and doing
gas.
it. Just want to get to your destination.
And then one last thing too, the last night we were in Georgia and all those tornadoes were rolling through like Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. And this is something we already learned from our previous RV is don't ever leave your awning out unattended,
right.
Or I would say take it a step further and don't leave it out at night as you're sleeping.
Because you might be in the middle of a storm in the middle of the night and don't even know it.
And you sleep right through it, yeah. Obviously, we ran the awning all the way in before we went to bed because we didn't know what kind of storms were going to roll through that night.
Yeah.
But we made that mistake in our last RV. It was a bright sunny day and everything was fine. And we left the awning out. We went and did some hiking and we came back and I was like, what the heck happened to the awning?
It was so messed up, mangled.
Yeah, because in Florida, the winds can kick up at any time. You just don't know it. And unfortunately, like this RV doesn't have the wind sensor that will run it back in when it starts noticing stuff like that. So I hope, our little insights to our mistakes that we've made and our learning experiences as we go on with this new RV will help you avoid some of those mistakes. I would say of all the mistakes that we made on this trip, it was the gas station that left me just
the most worried,
frazzled. Yeah. So if you guys found this video informative and enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up down below. That really helps the channel. And drop us a comment. Let us know some of your experiences and some of the things that you've learned along the way.
You can teach us.
That you can teach us, exactly. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. We're going to be in Pensacola. We're going to be hanging with Happily Ever Hanks. And we're going to be staying at Big Lagoon State Park again. Let's hope we can get in that spot because it looked a little tight when I looked at it online.
Oh boy.
It's deep enough, but it's not very wide. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.